Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I will be showing you how we can create a dynamic crosshair for our project in Unreal Engine. So yeah, let's get into it. I have these few textures. I made them in Photoshop and separated out as individual elements. First thing we will do is to create a widget blueprint. Just create this and I will be renaming it to WBP underscore crosshair. We have two tabs in the widget blueprint. First is designer and second is graph. So the graph is mostly like blueprints. We'll get back into it once we need it. So currently we have these as a viewport kind of thing for our widgets. And now we can add a canvas panel here. Or you can just drag and drop it to viewport like this. So we have these few textures and we need them here. So for that we will create an image. So just search for images, not images, just image, and drag and drop here. So you can see by default it comes on the top left hand side. So we need to anchor it to the middle, right? So we'll go here and just select in the middle of the screen. And we need to set the pivot to the center screen. Just change this alignment to 0.5 and 0.5. And the stretching part, we can make it by size X and size Y. I'll just make it 80 and 80. That's it. So now we will just need to add the image to it. So first we have to go here, the image, and search for that crosshair center. And that's it. We got it here. I will rename it to center. This will be the canvas panel renamed to crosshair and this to center. Duplicate this and make it as top one. And just select the top crosshair and it will come here by default. So just reset the position and yeah, now you can see it is working fine. Set the bottom part. Reset the position and select the bottom. Copy two more times for left and right crosshair. Select the left one and right one. Reset the position to 0, 0. And that's it. Our crosshair is ready. Let's compile it. There's a very good option on compile. We can save on compile on success only. So we don't have to like click on compile and save again. It will automatically save it. It's a nice handy feature. So let's get into it. We got our crosshair, but we need to add this in the viewport, right? So there's the third person view. I'm adding it to. So I have just moved the camera a little bit on the side so that our third person is not in the middle of the screen and we can see the actual crosshair on the viewport, right? So let's get into it. I'll just go into the world settings for now and check the pawn class here and go to third person character. And we have to add it in the event begin play. because whenever we begin the play we need the viewport, right? So I'll just add that create widget and select our widget, which is WVP Crosshair. Set, and we need, I'll just promote this to a variable for now, as we might need it later. So I'll just promote this to variable, rename it to Crosshair, and we can use a node called add to viewport, and that's it. Now we can check it in the editor. Let's see, we have these. That's in the middle of the screen also. Here I have changed the camera a little bit to on the Z axis, so you can see it in the viewport. So we can see the crosshair in the middle of the screen and not on actual the character. Now we need to move these crosshairs. Like we need to spread them out, right? The left should move to left, right should move to right, and like a dynamic kind of thing. Like when we are walking, or when we are setting a kind of a click. So we'll just go into the crosshair. These are the crosshairs, and we need all these as a variable because in the graph we need them to move, right? So we need to set this and the event tick and those variables. So I'll just go to designer and set all these to this variable. We have a nice checkbox here. So if we go back to the graph, you can see all the variables are there, right? We don't need the center one, so it's okay, but let's go. So now we'll create a variable. I will just rename it to crosshair underscore spread, right? Because we need a certain amount of spread, correct? And just change it to a float. Let's just do it for the bottom crosshair. Just select the bottom, and we'll get the canvas as slot. This one allows you to manipulate the layout information, so you can just hover over it and read it, right? So we just need to set the position a little bit towards the outside, right? So I'll just get the node set position, and in the event tick I can put it here. And in the position we can just split this because we don't need that in X direction, right? Because the bottom will just move in the bottom and top will move on the top, right? So we don't need them in X. So I'll just leave the X in the graph 0, and in the Y I can put the crosshair spread, which I made as a variable, right? Get this and put it in the position. So we'll just check it in the third person map. Let's compile it and see it. You can see our crosshair is here, but we are not able to move while we walk or anything because we need it to be a dynamic, right? So how we'll do that, it in the third person character we'll get now this variable which we set as a crosshair will come in handy, right? So we'll just get the crosshair and set our spread, and we need it that in event tick because it should happen in every frame. Just do the event tick. This variable, how we can use is we can get the character movement component, not the character movement component, but actually the velocity from the character movement, right? Which we have set. So just get the velocity. You right click and check get velocity. Is get, and the target is the actor itself. and we'll get the vector length from here, right? And we can't directly put that vector length into the crosshair spread because that might that might not be mapped to a proper range. So we'll just use a map range claimed, and I'll just arbitrarily just put any number like 0 to 100 maybe, and the out range should be 0 to 60. Good. And I'll just apply this value to the crosshair spread. Just compile and go to third person, and if we move, you can see now this the bottom one is moving down as the speed is very fast, so you can change it also by going here and in the range A where we are mapping the velocity to a certain number, you can map it to a larger number, right? So it will move a little bit slowly. Now we need to do these for all the other crosshair components also, for top, center, right, and bottom, right? So I'll just go here in the graph and I'll just copy all these, paste it again, and we need the top one now because we just want to move it in the Y position. I'll just use this crosshair spread. If we use this directly, it will again move it in the bottom direction, right? We don't need that. For the top, we need to move it in the top direction. So I'll just negate the value. We can use a subtract and subtract it by 0. So anything subtracted by 0 will be a negative number. And we'll get this. I'll just connect the set position to set position and just check. And it is working crazy good. Now we'll set it for left and right also. Correct. I'll just reposition it a little bit. Now we'll just connect this and get the left one. So for the left, we need to move it in the X direction, right? So we don't need it in the Y because that component is not moving in Y direction. It's always better to check how it is moving, and it's working good. Let's do it for the right one again. Copy, paste, take the right one, put the crosshair spread into the right, and set the position. And that looks good. You can increase the values accordingly what you need, and you can put the out range in the where we clamped the values inside the third person character according to your needs. Very good use is to comment down your boxes because sometimes we need it when the graphs are getting too much bigger. To left and to right. Select everything and name it Crosshair. And what we can do is just turn this show bubble when zoomed. So it's a very handy feature, so you don't get lost when your blueprints are like massive or these graphs are massive, right? And another reason is to use these as a bookmarks. So now we can set these bookmarks from this option, and I'll just name it a test bookmark and add it. And you can open this window from window bookmarks, and you can see our test bookmark here. So let's suppose we are here, and if we double click, we'll get automatically to the position. But when we are using these comment boxes, those are already bookmarked, saved as a bookmark. So if you are on a separate position and if you click on these, you'll get to the actual location of your notes. Right? Very cool feature. So now let's get inside this, and now if we want to use the left click instead of using this velocity, right? So I'll just use a left mouse button, and we can use a timeline here. So whenever we press, we can activate the timeline, and when we release, we can reverse the timeline. Let's say we'll do it for 0 to 450 or 500. I just go here, add track for 1 minute, 1 second, not 1 minute, and just rename it to Crosshair spread. The key here and another key here. At position 0, the value should be 0, and in position 1, the value should be 500. This is our graph, and we go to event graph because we can use the reverse option also, but we can do whatever we want. It's not necessary, but yeah, if we play it, press the left mouse key, you can see this is how we are getting. And because we have mapped it already on the above thing, we can use it, or you can change it here in the timeline. I'll just do it for 150. If we play, press the mouse button, it will go slowly, and release the mouse button, it will come back to 0 because the timeline is playing back in reverse. Right? Very nice feature. And if you keep clicking, this is a nice touch if you're firing your weapons or anything. I'll just click here and see. Yeah, thank you for watching the video, and see you in the next one.